doubled my size for it.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, this is a beautiful fucking trade. So immediately took one off for the equal distance, took another one off, and from that point I'm just riding for free. Because
Right.
this point right here, I sold, I believe, a total of like 4 or 2, and I'm just riding for free at that point. So that's why I entered there.
Okay.
This, yeah, and then I just took, just slowly scaled out. Here, even though it came back on me, and this is still Globex, I was not scared. 100% bullish. If anything, I was looking for a reload here. It came up to here. This is right before the open. I was like, you know what? I'll just take it off now, and then decide later on what I want to do. As it came down here, again, I was actually looking for a long. I was actually looking for a long exactly at 65.50 on this retest. Again, I failed because I didn't get enough confirmation. Would have been a beautiful trade. And this is our trade right here that I fucked up. I got in way too early. Way too early. But I got in,
Right.
stopped out, and then last contract out was here. For the most part, it was at the high of the day. Happy with it. But yeah. Oh yeah, right. What did I say? Was it 250? Yeah, 256. If you guys have questions, you guys can ask, by the way. Um, sorry, I'm messing around with some things right now. At 256, this is what I saw. Right there. And look at that. Right there. 256 right there.
Mhm.
Now,
Right.
NQ is leading to the downside. But once it rejects the daily -1 number, it got very, like I think 2 ticks away from it. Um, I'm ready to pull the trigger. I'm liking that area. Not only just
Mhm.
taking out yesterday's low and everything, I'm really loving the area. Now, if I go to say, excuse me, um, and it was funny because someone's like, "Oh, Zero, what did you buy for TradingView?" I was like, "The highest package." It's like, why? It's like, do you not see how many fucking charts I have and how many alerts, dude? Like, I fucking need it. Right here. So this is the dollar index over ES over the dollar index.
Mhm.
We get a reversal here, but this is the most important part right here. We still liquidity, or
Right.
we built that lower low and we reject. So from there, oh, this is exactly the point. Where's it to? Right here, this pullback. I was like, oh fuck, I'm loading. And I actually got it up here a little bit more, in this
Mhm.
area, and then I was like, nope, gonna add more. So I was like, okay, I really like that. Now let's give it a second and different look from this point on. So it's right here, right? We were really consolidating within ES over bonds. Now, again, currently right now, ES over the dollar index is dominating over ES over bonds, but it
Yeah.
just gives you additional confluence as to what is happening, right? So
Right.
this is something that, and then this is another reason why I wanted to get long on that ES dip right at the open.
Right. Right.
This is the reason why. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. That answers it
Okay.
all. Thank you.
Yep. As far as this 77, uh, play that I made, it was more so a level that I was interested in, um, and really impatient. So that was really my fault. The dollar index did not show too much on it. It's roughly about right here. It didn't give me that proper move down that I was looking for. So that was more of I'm just playing the levels. I'm just,
Right. Yeah.
just having fun. Yeah. Yep. That was it. That was purely stupid. Like I was actually looking for it to come down to the daily +1 level.
Okay.
But the
Right.
thing is, once it kind of stalled way too much, I got
Yeah.
very impatient. Had I just waited a little bit, I either wouldn't have been in the trade, or I could have gotten a better entry.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good. Very helpful.
What
Okay.
was this a low note for you? Is that why you entered?
Who, me?
Yeah,
Oh,
77.
I entered. Hold on, I have to pull up my history because right now my entry's at. I had two lots. So one was at 69. I think the other one was like 70. So one of them already took off, and this last one I'm sitting in. But before then, I had an earlier entry, and that's the one that I
Here,
got stopped out on.
actually, I wanted to do something if you don't mind. Can you share your screen and show me the footprint that you're
Yeah.
like what yeah, okay.
Yeah, let me just look at something.
You
Okay.
guys should join, by the way, her stream.
750. Okay, so my first entries were at 66, 75, and then I took another one at 69.50, and both of those I got stopped out. And then I went back
The-
and took the same level, 68, 69, 70, around that area.
70. What was your stop loss?
65. So it was roughly about 65.50.
So what was that a level that you wanted to participate in, or
No, that was just like structure and footprint. I mean, I knew your levels, like, so I understood what was happening from capital flow. And then I had sort of my own analysis on like structure.
right? Were you here in the
Footprint.
morning for the pre-market prep? I don't
It was
remember.
not. I joined, I think, like after the bell.
Okay. So um I told Specs because he's like, hey, Zero, he wanted to get long, blah blah. He goes, where should you get long? I said,
Mhm.
well, to be quite honest with you, I'm looking at 67.75, give or take, it's always give or take a point or two, right?
Right.
And then 62.25. Um, so I'm interested in seeing what happens in a very smaller time scale
Yeah. Well, around that
at those
time.
levels. Yeah. So if you want to
Let
share your
me,
screen, we can.
yeah, I
Yep.
gotta, let me connect on the other laptop. Give me a sec.
Yep. Yep.
BRB.
Vin, you here? Cool. If you guys have questions, ask.
Hi, Zero. Do you trade the pre-market or the money flow differently from the regular trading hours?
I don't. I use it the same. However, I use. Well, I guess to answer, I guess I do a little bit, just because the bonds are not moving the same. However, now because the dollar index is actually um, leading it, or I should say the leading indicator of it, I just watch the dollar index, so I don't rely as much on the bonds as I normally would. Hope that makes sense. Does that make sense? Or all right, cool.
I was on mute and I'm like, can you guys hear me? All right.
One
Did you want to
second.
look at like the early morning, or you wanted to look at
I want to
where
look
our
at.
golden-
Let's look at. 1 second. Let me pop this out so I can see it clearly. Let's look at the low of the day. I mean, I'm curious because I try to enter very. I try to enter at what is that 66.50 or some shit like that. So I'm just curious.
So this was the low at,
Yep.
right? At 45? Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, in the pre-market, I would have to adjust these candles because there's obviously not that much volume printing. So this is more of this 10,000 candle really doesn't tell you much. I'd have to change the chart. You can still sort of see,
Is this
like,
low of all session or just RTH?
this is the entire session. Do you want
Oh, okay.
RTH?
No, it doesn't matter. I was gonna say just RTH, but it's up to you.
No, actually RTH is better because this chart I'd have to adjust because it's like
Okay.
not really meaningful in
Cool.
Globex.
All right.
All right, so let's go to RTH.
By the way, I used to use Footprint, so this kind of brings back memories.
What? When you used to use it, or
Of the craziness.
what do you
it's like a
mean?
it's like a slot machine when the day's going. Anyways, go on. I mean, anything but trading slot machine. But go on.
That's true.
All right.
Okay, so you can just look at like how we opened because I think the open really tells a lot sometimes. So like here, obviously we're already bullish coming into the open, right? So typically we
Yes.
we either keep going like pretty strong right out of the gate, or we'll have a pullback and then go if it's meant to be a bullish day. And today was going to be a bullish day because we kind of opened outside of yesterday's value, so that kind of already was a tip off that this is going to run. Now it's just a matter of how it's going to run, right? Like what's the ebb and flow to it. So there were pretty aggressive moves down. Like this is very aggressive. This is definitely to like scare people out. Like, look how heavy this candle is, and it was at 9:37 a.m. Just 7 minutes after the open. Like this is a red candle down, but it's not that aggressive. I mean, you did move 6 whole points, but the fact that there was still a battle, you can't really say, oh, it's
Retro,
one
are
part.
those is that Eastern? That's Eastern Standard Time, right?
Yeah, this is Eastern.
Okay, cool. I just want to align my chart with it. By the way, you guys should do the same so you guys can see what's going on. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so here it's like indecision. This, even though we moved down, is really not indicative of anybody having control, and it's so early, so you can't really know. So here, obviously, buyers trying to make an attempt, and then you have a very aggressive sell. Right? Like this is a scare tactic because I'm still bullish given where we opened and the pre-market activity, and plus like what has transpired in the last couple of days. I'm like, this looks like it's still going to run. So you kind of just have to wait for this bullshit action to clear itself out. And usually it clears itself out. Like I've mentioned this to a few people, like about 9:45, and if not 9:45, look around 10 o'clock. Rough numbers. It's just don't enter here at 37 and don't enter at 40 typically because that's not the time. It's usually 45, give or take, or around 10 o'clock or 9:55, 9:56. So those are just some things to keep in mind when you're watching the open, at least from what I've observed. Again, everything changes. So here, so again, this is a very aggressive candle. It's going to be really hard to, for buyers to overtake it. So fine, they get another shove down, but then you do see buyers coming in, right? Because you see the change in delta. And then this negative delta is not as strong as it was prior. Like this is really, really big. I don't typically see candles like this. Like this is a huge move. I don't think I've seen this in days and days and days. So if you have a candle like this, like we should just sell the fuck off, right? Because if we're selling this aggressively, we should continue down. And if we don't, that tells you something right there, that it's just after liquidity, whatever story you want to make up, or
Yep.
it's not a real move down. And then when you see like this aggression here, this kind of confirms that as long as we kind of clear this candle and clear most of this candle, we should be good to go for long side. And then it's just a matter of finding an entry, finding a stop, because this is somewhat of a choppy territory as they continue to battle it out, because this was such a negative candle. So it's going to take some time to work out all the orders up and down, up and down. So I got, caught up in this chop somewhere and got stopped out. But I still knew it was a bullish day, so I was willing to go back in. And I got in at the same level, basically. So I think I don't know where I entered, somewhere around here. I probably entered here and got stopped out here or something, and then came back, entered here, still had the same stop. But then you can see here's a candle that kind of confirms the move. You see how this is?
You have a fixed stop, right?
Yeah, it's a hard stop.
I mean, sorry, fixed as in it's predetermined how many ticks.
No, it's not
regardless.
predetermined. It's usually 8 ticks. I don't tend to go more than that. If I do fiddle with it, it's just because of something I've seen in the chart, where I just want maybe a little bit more wiggle room, or I want it to be tighter. Like here, I did give myself a little bit more wiggle room, I think, because I was pretty sure about the direction of the day. I didn't want to get stopped out.
Right. Well, who does?
Right.
Where did you enter again? What price and where?
Okay, so
which candle?
It looks like it was 66.75. Let me just check the timestamp because it's hard for me to tell.
Yeah, because it's 1,000 or 10,000 tick, right?
What do you mean 10,000 tick? What are you talking about?
Or sorry, 10,000 volume.
Yeah, this is a 10,000 volume chart. Okay, so 9:49 was my first. No, sorry, that was my stop out. Okay, sorry, 9:44.
Okay.
And then 46 I added. And then I got stopped out at 49.
Okay.
So what is that? I guess I entered around here at 66, like here. You see it was building?
Mm-hmm.
And then I got stopped out, I guess, here.
Yep.
Which, yeah, I guess if I had just gone a couple of ticks lower. But, and again, like here, like if it did go lower, like say here, it really invalidates the trade, because you see the aggression here and the start of the imbalance. If buyers can't take it over, this is going to drop further, and then maybe they'll come back. So you do have to stop out like this, if you've built a system, and I've seen this over and over, and I've taken pretty large drawdowns. I'm fine if I get stopped out here, because I know if it goes lower, I'm going to get screwed, right? There's always a second chance, as you have said, Zero, over and over. So then I wait, and then I got back in at 9:50.
Can you scrunch up vertically just really quick? I just want to see the structure of 10,000. Yeah, a little bit more. I know the number's going to disappear, but I just want to see it.
Oh, you want to see the whole, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to see structurally how that looks like. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Done. I think, but it's fine. All right. Sorry about that. I mean, because I do have a comment about it later, but let's just run through it.
Okay.
Red Powell answer afterwards. Go ahead. What's that blue line?
This one?
Yeah, that one and the one.
You said this. It was the in unfinished auctions.
Okay. Cool.
I don't use them. They're just on.
Okay. Got it.
So let's see. I went back in, I guess, somewhere on this candle, because I saw that it was just like stupid stop out, right? Like, fine, I'll take the hit. But then I see all this activity, and I'm like, no, this wants to go. And I already sort of had my 9:45 stamp of a turning point, all this other confluence. So I get back in, pretty much the same stop. And then we never come back to it, right? So this is just, it's going to go now. And you see all this aggression come in. Look at this. Plus 2000, plus 1200. And it goes through its own motions, you know. And then basically I used your levels at this point to make sure, and this auction to make sure it's continuing and it's doing what it needs to do. Obviously it's going to have its bullshit pullbacks to reassess inventory. So
Mhm.
there are still pretty negative candles, but look at this. Negative 10,000, it barely moves. Like this is all absorption. Like this is a tight candle. If you see this at the very bottom of the day, more than likely it's absorption and we're going to pop. This is like as we're going up, it's still absorption, because if this wasn't absorption and it's so heavy, you can see these candles back to back and then you would see like boom. You don't see that. So
Yep.
it's like safe to say and stay in the trade. Day goes on, we get again aggression. Like it's just so many of these types of candles coming in. It's just too many for it to be not bullish at this point. And I don't have your levels on here, but you could see
No, it's
it
fine.
side by side.
Yep.
Like, you know, where I don't know what level the seed it is. Where
We
are
don't
the
have a level
levels?
there.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
We
Go on.
did, but we did like, what's the level below here though? I think there's
We have a daily
the
level there,
level.
right?
There's some levels here.
Yeah.
Here, this one, the 74, I guess we cross at some point. And
Yep.
we stay bullish. So that kind of also helps. You stay in the trade.
Love this color scheme. So
So then, yeah, you just hold it. You just hold it for the
That's what
levels.
I
And when
did.
we stalled out like at 88, that's one of your daily levels.
Mhm.
We took one off there, and now I'm just have a sell order sitting near 4,000, just under 4,000.
Yeah, I
Just
like that.
check.
I originally wanted to, but let's revisit the I think it was 10:26
Okay.
your time.
And 26. So here, this candle.
Yeah, where you were
Right
saying
one.
crazy absorption. You know,
Okay, yeah.
look at the delta.
Yeah, here.
Right.
So these were like the
Great.
pretty big attempt from sellers, and these candles are tight. This is again like I'm so used to seeing 10,000 because I've watched this for like 5 months, so I know what it means without having to even look at numbers, because this is a visual representation for me now, because all the numbers have been sort of ingrained, right? Like
Right.
a
And
broad
and we're
space.
what I guess what I wanted to talk about, because it's very similar to what I look at. What I look at is I look at the effort versus
Result, right?
the result. Right.
Yeah.
So we're near the high of the day. The effort is to push it down, and we don't have that. So if you go back to the low of the day, it's actually almost similar. It's not absorption, it's
Yeah.
disappearance
It's aggression.
almost.
Yeah, they
Right.
leave.
You're right. So you can
Yeah, there
see
is
that.
not absorption here. This is like sell, sell, sell. Okay, see you later.
Yeah, we're
Like
done.
they're still
We're done.
here. Like, this is like this and this candle. They're like,
Mhm.
okay, we're out. You guys can take it.
Right. So if you go to 949,
Like here.
that yeah, pull that up. 949, where essentially where you got stopped out.
Yeah, this
That's
is
your
where I got
entry.
stepped out. Yeah.
That's your entry. On many things, we broke structure.
65. Is that what you said in the pre-market to enter there?
Yeah.
65? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't
So
get that.
we
Yeah.
broke structure. We came back, tested that area,
Yeah.
and we're gone. You, at most, with a shit entry, you took like 3 ticks of stop or drawdown.
Yeah.
Now, and you guys should know, or you guys know that I don't really give a shit about drawdown, but that's a very good entry. The next safer entry would actually be closer to, say, I want to say, what was it? 1003.
Okay. Yeah. So somewhere in this
Yeah, in that
Yeah.
area.
So if I
So
had
s-
broken this down into a smaller volume, you could probably see it better. It's
right,
hard to see it after it prints. Like,
but look at the delta change.
yeah, huge. Like
Right.
here's absorption.
And I
Boom,
didn't even know that
boom.
until I just saw it right now. But because I'm looking at a very different type of attempt, right? Like,
Yes.
but that's why when we were PMing, S'ing, when we were private messaging each other, I was like, hey, let's look at the footprint chart. So that's a good retest, right? We broke out that level, came back, let's test that level.
Yeah.
That level, that what is that? Fuck, hold on. Sorry. I said 10:03, right? I just want to double
You
check.
said 10:03. So this is
Okay.
10:02, this candle, and then
Right.
this is 10:04. So in between here.
Yep.
Probably
So
like
that's
this one,
that
74.
yeah, the 72 level. That was
Maybe
really close,
72.
right? 72? Was it?
This is the bottom 70. Well, 72.25. This is 72 right here.
Yep. Okay. So my point was to essentially at that point, you're looking at, a rejection of the daily plus one for me, and then I'm
Mhm.
looking for an entry. I'm
Yes,
looking like, okay, we retest, we look at a structure, we hit that, daily plus one, we are bullish, hands down, let's get long.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
this makes sense with your level. Like if you didn't, sometimes it is better to wait after the first half hour to see the picture if you're not like really familiar or anticipating.
right. If
This
you're not
makes
quick.
sense. Yeah, but also like if you don't have, because I have to analyze all this stuff beforehand to kind of have a view, and it's like, okay, well, what's gonna invalidate this, right? If you don't even have that pre-prep sort of
Right.
mindset coming in, like you won't get those entries earlier, which is fine because I wasn't there. It takes time to get there. This is like usually where I would have entered, like I guess like a couple months
Safer
ago. But
spot. Yeah.
it's a safer spot. You've got all this history, you've got the confluence of the levels. You're like, all right, this is a lot safer. So if you entered here, you would never have gotten stopped out.
Yep. It's a
Down
very
there, it
clean
was
entry.
sharpier. Here,
And
you're
that,
still fighting, but
yeah.
it's still there.
At roughly about 10:03, to me it looked like a lot of absorption on a micro scale. There was a
It is, yeah,
lot.
because it's here. It's somewhere in
Yep.
this candle because you see the delta. It's
Right.
142.
So I was like,
You
oh,
see the
okay.
change, which is a minus 2,000. So there's a lot actually did get absorbed here.
So to me, that was the safe entry. The better entry, we already talked about that one. That was, so to me, that's what happened. In my eyes, I didn't get the proper 1000% your golden confirmation to enter. But yeah, I mean, hindsight, it was a good trade. Yeah. But let's also look at the footprint really quick at where you got it. Did you get stopped out as well at that 77 whatever level? I thought you got in at the same time.
No, I
You
only
asked me
got
what.
in.
Oh, you only got in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I did you ask me about the 77? That's the one you wanted
No.
to know why I got in, or no? Okay.
No, I just wanted to know what you were watching to get in generally.
I was
But
just
you kind
looking.
of went over. You already
Yeah.
went over.
Yeah. Someone had a question as far. Red Pie has a question for you.
How far back do you hold a profile and articulation? I don't know what you mean. I don't really hold. You mean the profile of the.
So every do you call them candles, or what am I supposed to refer them as?
It's a candle with a profile. Like
Okay.
this is a candle, and I added a profile to it.
So for every candle, at what point do you consider it to be heavy accumulation volume, and you would hold that level or give it significance for over multiple day runs.
For
'Cause I was-
multiple days, I don't use this for multiple days. I
Okay,
use this for intraday.
so like for example, like pre-market, apparently all of us long together. I didn't know we had the same level, but for me, it was a demand zone that we rejected really aggressively, and it showed like absorption at the low.
Okay.
It was like I use regular candles. I don't use footprint or
time?
anything like that.
What time
Uh,
was the long and what price?
hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
What price and what time was this long?
Around 39, 47, 27 at
Very early
3:50
morning
AM. Okay.
here.
like
here.
3-ish a.m.
Yeah,
Uh,
3 a.m.
Yeah, that one it was a bit sus because that coincides with one of the opens.
It's 10 minutes. It's 12 minutes after open on European markets.
Okay. So what was your question?
So like for me, if I see like because I use regular candles, if I see wicks and a rejection at a demand zone, for me it holds weight and I'll carry it over for like several days for my trading style. I know the previous day we knifed through that level, but I believe that was off of fake news. That should be like
Yeah.
so I disregard that like that sell off. But yeah, like that's my style. I was wondering, like, do you have a similar thing where you see like an absorption so heavy that you would hold that level of significance over several days?
No, I haven't been holding anything for more than a day. I don't really trade like that. So,
Did you exit already, Red Pie, or are you still in?
Oh no, I baby handed that so hard. No, I don't know, because it's just
So But
because
I thought you said you normally hold stuff for many days.
Right.
no, I don't. Oh no, the guy that I know about, he holds it for like several days. But like for me, once I saw the I don't know what it's called, but the Gazprom news, that just like took me out. Because I just kept on moving my stuff up, and then the Gazprom news just like bleh, it just blew out my candle.
Okay.
Wait, I think I posted it to Risky. There was like
Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
yeah, and then like that just blew me out, and I was like, after that, I was just salty.
No, I don't have that trading style, so I can't answer you.
I would say it for me at least, I just simply just trade from level to level. And if I see that the bigger time frame, whether it be levels or capital flow, is telling me this is a long, I'm taking for the most part any break of structure at any of my levels to the upside, and I will hold on to one contract out of that group for the most part. So, for instance, if I'm long, um, you know, here, I mean, I didn't do it today, but for example, I'm long here, I'll execute two of them based on risk parameters, or half of it, I should say. Half of it based on risk parameters, or four, given today, I traded 8 lots. I'll exit 4 based on risk parameters, the another 2 based on intraday structure, so 1 and 1 on intraday structure. So for instance, I got long, you got long at the same time earlier in Globex session in London. And I typed in the chat, I'm looking for 67.75. That's where I'm going to exit. And that's where I exited. Exit like an additional contract. So I paid for it. I took off 2, and then, once it came back down. But what I'm trying to get at is from that point on, the goal is to hold 1 to 2 contracts for the duration of the move. The only way to make massive, not the only way, sorry. My method is, to make massive amount of money is to always be in the market. Because if your stop is say 10 ticks or 10 points or whatever, right? If it doesn't hit your stop, chances are it's already ran for you. Especially if you have a small stop loss, right? If you have 10 ticks, 4 ticks, whatever it may be, or even like 5 points, if it's running for you and you're in it for days, I guarantee you the market's not going to sit in a 4-point range. So if you're able to sit in it for days, you're already making a shit ton of profit. And the only way you can actually make money, in my opinion, is to always be in the market. So after you make, let's just say you're trading 4 contracts, after you take 3 off, leave 1 on. Put everything to break even, or at the very least, you're not going to lose all of the profits that the 3 made you, the 3 contracts. You're golden. You're in the market. You're safe. And obviously this is hindsight, and we're talking about it in an odd way, but let's just say you identified the market as going up back in mid-October. Let's just say, right? I'm saying this because I did. Mid-October, you identify the market's going to go up. If every single day you found 1 to 2 points of getting long, taking 3 off for profit and leaving 1 on, how many contracts, and let's just go with micros, how many contracts would you have by now? It's not hard to find a pullback long every single day. Even for 1 micro, by now would have made massive amount of points, easily per contract over 100 to 200 points per contract, per micro. So I hope that answers your question as far as how do you hold it longer. You pay yourself, you pay more than enough, and you hold 1 contract. As long as the capital flow tells you, and price action tells you, hey, we're gonna go forward, we're gonna keep going up, keep holding on to it. Like even though I was like, you know what, you should be exiting your longs mid-November, which I exited most of them. You can still hold 1 or 2 on because no one knows what the market's going to do. So the only way to make money is to always be in the market. Did I go off on a tangent? I think I did.
You did.
No, it makes sense though.
Yeah,
Like if you
that's
see
good.
a significant level, and like if they're like that's the old saying, right? I didn't see a reason to sell, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the most important part is the risk, the trade management is you're paying yourself, you're happy. Yes, a lot of people, Harvey, have issues with, seeing a trade coming back against them. And that's okay. Everyone has different trade styles. But if you leave 1 micro on or 1 contract after paying yourself, let's just say I think I got 20 points off of 2 contracts today at the very least. Um, you know, I can't tell you I'm not happy with 20 points off 2 contracts. And the last one, if it runs against me, it runs against me. It's not that big of a deal. I don't count my unrealized gains. I just look at what I gained, it's realized, and I'm happy with it. I move on and move on to the next, try to buy the next dip.
Well, how did
That's
you
all.
know that 65 was the level to buy, like in the morning?
So that's just more so of intraday level of mine that I mean not of mine, but that I look at.
Okay.
This is again more so. Oh, you talking about pre whatever?
Because you said you set it in pre-market. Or
Yeah.
pre-market,
So
that's
it wasn't
why it's
65. It was 62, 62 something, 62 and a half
Right.
or something. But I'm looking at action around 67 to 62. And the
Okay.
reason why 65 was the level that after we rejected the low of the day of 62.75, I was like, cool, rejected this area that I'm intraday area, which is the midpoint of Asia session and the high of the Asia session. I'm just strictly looking at that, seeing what, and I talk about this all the time. What did Asia try to accomplish? And then when London opened, what did they do? So I can see that, you guys can see it too. Asia's session really didn't do too much, right? Some might, if you zoom in, they'll be like, oh, it was going down. No, it didn't really do too much. It wasn't really any buys, any sells. It was just ranging in a very tight range, right? What was it? I think it was like 12 points or something. It's not, didn't accomplish too much. Once that London and London Exchange open, they did ram it down, probably faked out a lot of people to the downside, and then just proceeded to run this up to Asia session highs, which I exited. Great pullback. You could have got long multiple times within that area, and a good retest during RTH. So when it broke out, you just expect a retest, and if it fails, at least you're leaning on something that you can get out easily. Is why that 65 level, 65 wasn't the level, 65 was the entry. So there's a difference between levels and entries. I'm usually taking it. My entries are not as precise as like others. 65 was an entry, not the level.
I'm muting myself because there's like background noise. But yeah, that was what I wanted to understand. Okay. Then I had another question.
Hey, Risky, you're playing with your food again.
I am playing with my food again. But this is intentional though. But he started fucking like going around there, calling G Trader a cunt all of a sudden because he takes a trade. Big.
It's just Retro's remodeling.
Yeah, maybe next year I will, but I don't know who's doing that. I think it might be outside.
This is looking very heavy to me right now. The current price action.
I mean, they're trying to break here.
Yeah, a lot of buyers, but not much happening. But they're not absorbing it either. It doesn't look like.
Well, this was all looks like it was absorption here, and if these guys can break, then we'll have it move up.
Yeah.
But if they can't, I'm just gonna mute myself.
I thought you were gonna want to ask a question. Okay, I guess not.
I mean, I did. There was just like noise. Okay. The other question was about your IV calculations for ES because it's shortened week. Does that matter much, or it's still
What the implied volatility?
the same? Oh yeah.
The implied volatility, it doesn't matter because they'll calculate it for me. Meaning that the implied volatility is 100% based on the options market, right? So the option market will calculate the holiday
Dictate
exactly. Yep.
Right, like it's already factored into whatever the implied volatility levels.
Yep.
That's indicative. When you have, like, say, a monthly close versus a weekly close, you still only take the weekly IVs.
Yes, I only do the weekly. I think the monthly will change and fluctuate a little bit more than I would like. I'm long bias, right? So my goal is to actually hold. So let's just say start opening. The week opens and I'm long bias. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to accumulate as many contracts as possible. I'm looking until it ends, as far as the trend ends, but I will take off a decent amount off of that implied volatility, because I don't want to, you know, I don't really want to mess with it. Usually, what will happen is that it could fluctuate pretty hard in that area, so I just try to get out.
On that note, okay, so you know how your daily levels and major levels, you always tell us like look at confluence across the board. Like if NQ is at daily -2 and ES is daily -2, like that's confluence.
Yep.
Do you have the same approach when it comes to IV? Like the IV of CL is here, or the IV
I
of
don't.
NQ is here. And okay, so none of that matters.
No. So,
No.
like, right off the bat, I was like, I was saying that NQ is a lot heavier, but I'm not interested in shorting the market. If I'm interested in shorting the market, I'm going to short NQ. And this is something that was said way before. This is like 30 minutes to 45 minutes before the market opened. And you can clearly see how far NQ went. It essentially came back down to retest daily -1 versus ES never even got close to that. And even if you don't have the daily levels, you can see NQ breaking structure, right? You don't want to long, and I mean, you could long NQ, but it's a lot more dangerous. But ES,
You want to know something funny, Zero?
What's up?
I went long NQ like
I'm sure you did.
23 minutes after the open.
Very nice.
At 539.
Nice.
Because I saw it was bouncing around in a region of interest on the overnight session. Like I said, that it was testing the lows, and then it rejected the lows. Like it tested the exact lows that they did on the overnight session low, and which was also a previous overnight low as well. It was really clean.
It did retest that level.
Well, that's the reason why I thought it was like really a bread and butter setup for a clean entry onto NQ, because ES did not shop the same way on where I was looking to enter. ES was really not doing it was really behaving weird.
ES was
not the same
weird.
Not the same
same
kind of
way,
consolidation. Not the same kind of consolidation. If you look at the consolidation between ES and NQ during that bottoming phase, NQ started like consolidating at 942, and ES started consolidated really briefly at 942. So it's like usually what happens in NQ is it touches its level and then instantly reverses. While now, ES touched the level, like that region, and then instantly reversed. So it's kind of like they swapped how they traded. Like ES being more volatile or less liquid than usual, and hence it touches a level and doesn't really consolidate around that region of interest. Like usually you can see ES consolidate for several minutes at a region. Well, today it didn't. Like it skipped above that and then held like almost 3 points higher was the average ranging area from the lows, which is odd for ES. It's really odd. It's not the normal behavior. Which is the reason why I did not even consider going long ES, but I considered it on NQ based on how they traded, because they retested the region and held it really well. That's why I took it. Like I did not see any strength. Like I saw ES holding up really well, but like I did not hold that for very long. Would have been nice to hold it.
Yeah. I would say moving forward, for those of you guys tracking capital flow, if Russell's going to break to downside, it's going to drag everything. It's already dragging everything right now. So once it breaks to the downside, things will follow it really hard.
What did they follow again? One more time. I got interrupted there. Russell. Okay.
Russell.
Yeah. I
Red
noticed
Pie,
also that the said B pretty much like topped out temporarily when we bottomed.
Who?
The 30-year bonds.
Oh.
They topped out at the same time as we bottomed after the open. Like it's like the inverse correlation applied for just a couple minutes there.
Yeah.
So basically, like ES ripped down, NQ ripped down while bonds went up, and then when bonds topped out and went down back again, that's when they kind of started accumulating positions in equities again, and then NQ and everything, including bonds, ripped up like during the day. It's really odd that they're switching between fully correlated to negatively correlated, like from time to time. It's just weird.
It's they have ADD, or what is that, Tourette's?
Kind of.
Red Pie. I stopped using Footprint because I switched to TradingView. Well, actually, no, that's technically not true. I stopped using it because it was a little bit too busy for my eyes. I'm old. But that's
That's
really
a
just
bad
it.
excuse.
I don't want to shit on it.
Harvey's older. He's like,
Harvey's
and
not
he's
older.
fucking.
Is
Isn't
he?
Harvey older?
How old is Harvey?
I'm betting Harvey's older.
I'm sure he's
Yeah.
older. He's
Children, I think.
well, I mean,
I think he has a 9-year-old, and he sounds like he's
no.
40 plus. Yes, he has. He has a 9-year-old.
At 9 year. Oh,
He has dad jokes. He probably has a kid.
He literally, he told in the
Red
beginning of the session that he walked his kids to school. So he was complaining.
Bad jokes, therefore.
Because Spin was making, well, not Spin, Specs was making fun out of him having, like, you tell your children you have to work. You know, I'm like, okay, well, god damn. But like the thing is, like he's trying to actively come up with new strategies of not switching platform, but at the same time maintaining, like, trying to evolve systems like uptick, downtick, and all these crazy things.
Harvey, you mean?
Yeah, Harvey on the platform.
He's constantly trying, yeah. Doesn't use CR though. It's only TradingView for now. So hopefully I'll get filled on my last slot.
Yeah. I don't know how you guys play oil news though. Like whenever oil news breaks, like everything starts shifting in the market like really quickly, and it gets like
In oil?
It's crazy.
yeah. Whenever there's like a big oil news, like or energy news, the whole market like it starts moving a lot.
I mean, the only thing you can really do in that sense, for oil markets is either, like, that's the reason why a lot of the funds don't actually hold futures contracts. They hedge with multi-pronged, several expiration dates on options, so they have limited risk to news events, like very limited, and then they re-hedge by basically running an options desk just specifically focused on crude. And that's how they do it. And by, like, they're not using Black-Scholes for value. They're using what's it called? A binomial option spread calculator instead of the Black-Scholes model, because the Black-Scholes model is well, it's worse at predicting options price than, even though it's a standard method of using it. Because the other method is more intense on computational power. But it's interesting. I have not found a way to predictably trade oil because of the illiquid nature of it, like to consistently trade it, so to speak, unless it's very specific setups, like applying the exact same thing that's like I'm using. What's that, Gecko? I need to. Oh, the model. I bet it's some fucking Norwegian cunt that has written it.
It sounds like it's Scandinavian. It's your part of the world.
Like, yeah, there's always this kind of like dislike between neighboring countries of Swedes, like, but it's not really like the one thing like Norwegian, Swedes, and Danish people agree is we all hate Finns most. So
What?
I mean, they're most of the outcasts. Okay, their language is completely different than ours, so that's kind of the reason why we're making fun of them. That and they drink a lot more.
That's funny.
So we have like internal jokes. Like, okay, so the joke in Scandinavia is because we are like basically Sweden is the most politically correct country in Scandinavia. So you're having everybody makes fun of us for being like soy boys and whatnot in Scandinavia broadly. And okay, so the one reason like I dislike my government is because the money that was lent in when Norway discovered their oil fields, Norway offered, I think it was 30% of all future yield from the entire Norwegian oil field for the debt that like we financed the whole shenanigans from Volvo, among other things. And it's so ridiculous. And no. The investors were retarded and didn't want to take any
Sorry, I'm
risks.
back.
So they just said, like, oh, we're going to get paid off and then that's it. With interest, of course. But still, it's silly. Instead of taking a 30% stake in it. Filthy, stupid mistake. But then again, I'm more pro risk than most people are. If it would have ended up being dry, then well, that would have been tough spot.
I close my long because I don't think we're gonna go more.
I was just gonna.
We're like 2 points from your level, 2 to 3 points.
Yeah. I originally wanted to hold to that, but I'm starting to shift my sentiment now. But I think the holiday
this was the
season.
candle that was gonna do it, and it didn't. So
Right. I agree.
You want to know something funny? Like we have not touched a single Seavol level in forever. Like it's really ridiculous how it's been behaving as of late.
helpful is that Seavol stuff? 'Cause I haven't
It
looked at
has been very useful, but as of recently, it's not working as it's supposed to.
Well, is it because okay, so for the past I have no idea like how many days, like we've basically just been range bound. So like while there is volatility intraday, if you zoom out for like on a daily basis, it's not that much of a range. Is that why?
I mean, there's no real like we're not like extending outside of the norm. And the VIX, like the how the VIX thing works is that it gauges. So like if that VIX gaps up, then the VIX extended range will be further. So the VIX extended range for today
Yeah,
compared to
here it
yesterday
comes.
is further because the VIX gapped for some reason. I can't, like, for some ungodly reason, I can't. Like, I've looked through options flows to try and understand it, but I can't make sense of it. I'm not smart enough, and I haven't built the tools to actually look at it.
I think the move's coming now.
By the way, Zero, have you considered like taking like a course in options, considering that you like to trade crude and these illiquid shit? Shit.
My friend is he's been pushing me to do tasty
The
works.
grain
with
guy,
him.
you should definitely like.
He
like-
does options.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Your grain guy,
Yeah.
who is actually actively trading both like underwriting puts and calls, and running them non-covered as well, which is crazy. You have to have some
Euro
balls.
levels. This is sickening.
It's sickening for me too.
I hate this. Right when I closed. What the fuck?
Honestly, I don't blame you because I'm
I know.
watching other
I'm
shit.
fine. I'm fine. But this is
I would've closed there
annoying as
too.
fuck. This
I
is
would've-
so annoying. Like this candle, and then this bullshit.
Yeah, I would have probably closed at
Always does
96.
this. I hate that.
Fuck this shit. But let's see how high I can get. I mean, it could still break.
It is. This is the momentum. Now it has freedom to go.
I mean,
Probably
don't
go
forget.
for
Don't
it.
forget about the fact that while we have no active traders, the actual companies in the S&P 500 that actually have buybacks are actively buying back their shares every day for a certain amount of money. So if there is very few sellers present at the ask, then they will absorb the shit out of it and move price. Because they are more or less, they don't care about what the price is. They will just buy. So they're basically using a time sliced order every day between a certain amount of time, and don't care what price it buys at, and they don't even try to time the market. It just buys
They don't give a
consistently.
shit.
Yeah, they just buy. They just said it. This amounts of shares we're gonna buy back between open and close, and that's it. And then it just automatically just sits there with an algo and fills it. So
Yeah, from what I'm seeing, it's more so stops than anything.
I mean, I looked at it now. That like sure there are stops, but these moves it's so freaking slow. Like it is incredibly fucking slow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean those candles at
We
8
have
minutes
moved-
and 9 minutes is like that's not how those candles typically print.
Like during the first 4 hours, we moved 34 points with like an average volatility that's horrendous compared to 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Like the intra candle volatility is ridiculously low, even.
Yeah, with the holiday.
yeah. I wouldn't want to fade to the short side just yet, though. I mean, you're right, Jazzer. Holiday season, slow markets, it's just drifts up. As itchy as my fingers are, I'm not touching this shit.
I mean, the one thing that I saw now, I looked into CTA convexity, meaning that there's two CTA, CTAs are two standard deviation moves, sees 50 billion in buying, but to the upside, but negative two standard deviations down is 150 billion in sell.
Is what? Sorry.
On ES,
Hmm.
2 standard deviations move up sees a buying pressure of roughly $50 billion because the CTA switched from being bearish to bullish during the last few weeks. So right now, if we would move 2 standard deviations down, that would trigger a selling cycle in this instance, where they would swap their longs to shorts and progressively pull the market down at the same time as they're like switching out their longs to shorts.
I think we should go short.
And for indexes like FTSE and SX5E, there are sellers in all scenarios, no matter if it's up or down. So this is the report I'm paying for from Goldman.
How much are you
Uh,
paying for that?
$1,500 a month.
Jesus Christ, dude. That's a lot.
They compile a lot of data. It's a 35-page report every week. I dread the poor fucker that wrote it.
I'm sure they're
Looks
getting
like-
paid well, so.
Well, I
Looks like
mean,
they're
like if you look at the hours they work, some of these juniors, like they're like they're getting
putting in
paid.
their
Like,
time. They're putting in their time. It's
yeah,
all
but
part of the journey.
yeah. But imagine yourself, like they're getting paid worse than minimum wage. Like actually,
I know.
like if you look,
yeah,
like way
It's-
worse than minimum wage. If
it's
you look,
terrible working conditions, but the promise. There's a
promise. So
of
it's
the
like trading, you
future.
mean? So it's like trading, you mean?
Exactly. We're doing the same, except we're actually.
Actually,
I don't
we're
know.
actually like deciding. Oh, I should not trade anymore today. That's
Exactly.
okay.
Like we can actually not trade. We can
Mm.
take a nap. Just sit here and bullshit. But
I think I stopped training a long time ago. I don't know.
What do
I
you mean?
really don't. I mean, I don't know how people can sit here and trade all day.
I mean, I do,
and that's risky.
but I'm not. I'm
No, but you're not
uh-uh,
really trading all day.
think he
No,
is.
like not really. I'm looking for opportunities and doing other stuff at the same time.
Yeah, I'm looking at fishing rods right now.
Oh, that's nice.
But I'm still watching the market, but I'm not saying I'm not
I
really
have
trading.
actually not watched the markets now for roughly like I just joined in when you guys. I saw that some of you guys were back here.
There was always someone in here. Your best
No,
friend,
no,
your
no, but-
BFF was in here.
Who? What? When?
Your BFF.
Numbers wasn't there.
No, I was talking about spin, bro. We all know
No.
we're talking about spin.
Fuck that guy.
She's like, my best friend is numbers.